Harper, shut up. Welcome back to the Highly Taken Podcast, episode number whatever. I stopped keeping count. This is David Seaver back with you again here in Tallahassee, Florida. Have to start working again.
Christian back at you here, Elton, Maryland.
Nick back at you in Jacksonville. Go Birds, baby.
Go Birds. But first, before we talk about the Birds, we'll talk about games that were played this weekend and whether or not we did good at picking them. Christian had some interesting takes, and we're going to see how he did this past week.
Yeah, so we'll give Christian. No, Christian. We'll give you a little credit, but let's announce who came in first here. If only we would have put a bet slip for what David picked this week. He got 7 correct. And not to mention, I mean, he did perfect on the tiebreaker. He was pretty close on the score. He said 28-24 Michigan. It was 30-24. I mean, that's downright. I mean, that's pretty accurate. So kudos to him. Christian, dude, you did awful, man. You definitely lost. You got 3 right. I will say, you went over in college, dude. You picked Ohio State to win 29-13 against Michigan. You picked A&M to beat LSU. You picked Washington State to beat Washington. Florida to pick FSU. I like that. That was a good pick, but that didn't happen. Pick Louisville to beat Kentucky. They got absolutely demolished. But I will say, you were 3 for 3 in NFL games. So
David,
kudos to you.
Go and yourself, bro.
So I will say kudos to you for that. I had 6, so I was only 1 behind David there. And I said Michigan would win 33-27. But it was a good game. Nonetheless, Christian, you lost. I don't know if you would. I don't know why I put the Bears-Vikings game in here. That's on me. I mean, David, you and I picked the Bears. Christian picked the Vikings. So it'll be interesting to see if he can go 4 for 4, on NFL games. Or if I go 4 for 4 on NFL games. One of us is going 4 for 4 on NFL games.
I would absolutely love to throw out there that 100%, and I'm almost positive I vocalized it multiple times to you guys. Michigan would have been my winner. Washington would have been my winner. LSU would have been my winner.
That's not what I saw.
Should have been here at 9 o'clock, though. That's on me. I know.
Not from what I see on here written down. I mean, on paper, those were not the picks you picked.
Nick and I, as soon as the randomizer goes 29 and 13, Nick goes 29. It's like, that's interesting. But then we see 29 points scored yesterday in the Broncos game.
Yeah, very interesting, man. Scoregami. Yeah, I mean, it happens, dude. You can't be too mad.
What's hilarious, Christian, is Nick goes, if you watch the video, Nick goes, okay, I know this is what Christian wants. I go, no. I was like, we're flipping a coin on every single one of these. I'm not going by what we think he'll pick. We're going by what the randomizer says.
I tried.
Next time we come into a situation like this, David, and it's you, because we were real generous with you last time. Yeah, I'm not 100%, being generous at all.
100% very generous. I still think I lost, but 100% real generous.
No, we were using what we thought your brain would choose, and we were pretty accurate on the games you were trying to choose.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to argue the coin flip.
I like the idea of you miss an episode. I feel like you should get semi-punished by coin flippage the entire time. But I do appreciate you guys being nice to me.
No, we have to. You're the best host in the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So why don't we start with how the playoff picture is going to look now, even if Florida State wins out?
Oh boy,
Shouldn't be.
Yeah. Where to begin? Like I said last week, if Louisville lost to Kentucky, there's a good chance that FSU doesn't make it in, even if they go undefeated and win the ACC. Your slate to get there was pretty easy. You have a win to LSU, you have a win to Clemson, and then your win's going to be to their best other win's going to be to Louisville, and that's not a tough schedule by any means. Now you're put in a situation you have to win out, and then after that you're at the mercy of the committee. Whether or not they're going to let you in. I mean, granted, I feel like they are just based off of an undefeated Power 5. However, are they a top 4 team in the nation right now? The answer is no, they're not.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, especially like you just said, yeah, with Louisville losing to Kentucky, right? I mean, it's a laughing stock game at this point. FSU is going to go out and they're going to beat Louisville more than likely. Now, if they shockingly lose, that would be even funnier. But they're going to go out and beat Louisville more than likely. And again, like yeah, you said, that's worth what, right? Like that is worth what you ran through and you won the ACC against a team who this is their first ever time coming to the ACC championship, and in their biggest game of the year so far, thus far, to Kentucky. They lost. You know what I mean? So there's nothing there. I think, I know I've been saying it. I really would love to see both Oregon and Washington make it. I feel like they both do deserve to make it. However, that is going to depend on if Oregon can beat Washington this time around. And I feel like that's the only way you get both of them in. So yeah, it's a real interesting situation right now. FSU made it back into the top four. Bama's right there. Texas is right there. Even OSU is still right there. So I don't think FSU is going to be that fourth team. I really do think it'll probably be Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Oregon. But it's still, man, you don't know.
I mean, keep in mind, you got the conference titles now, and Bama's not a cakewalk for Georgia by any means. Let's also keep in mind that Georgia Tech played a decent game against Georgia this past week. I was very surprised in the outcome of that. Obviously, towards the end, they started, destroying them. But Bama's not a cakewalk to win that SEC by any means, And then if that happens, you're looking at a very tough schedule. And I think at that point, Florida State's going to get in if that happens. Now, like you said, Christian, Oregon, Washington, right? If it's a close game like it was the last time and Oregon wins, no doubt in my mind did both of them deserve to be in because of the strength of schedule that they had. But it's hard to argue against an undefeated season, even if you play a layup and a cake schedule that they had. Mm-hmm. And David, it was a cake schedule. And your best win is against an LSU team with 3 losses
at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and now Louisville that just lost to Kentucky at home. That's a big loss. You lose to Kentucky at home. That's not good. Now, if they would have won, we're looking at a different animal here, and that's a big win for the ACC title game. But in my opinion, it's just not enough for me to say that they deserve a spot over a team that's lost one game. I think Ohio State's better. I think Texas is better. Mm-hmm. I think Bama's better. It's just really hard, but the only reason they'll get in is because they'll go undefeated.
At this point, I'll even take JMU over FSU. I think they deserve
it. Bull bound.
No, I want Liberty. Give them Liberty.
Yeah, undefeated Liberty. Yeah, I told you
Liberty and justice for all, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, if we're talking the 4 best teams in the nation, FSU is not one of the 4 best teams in the nation. And that's why the whole college football playoff selection is so confusing, because you want those 4 best teams in, but you don't usually get those 4 best teams in because it goes by, you're undefeated, you have 1 loss to so-and-so, you have a conference championship, stuff like that. You don't get those 4 best teams because, truthfully, Ohio State probably is one of the best 4 teams in the nation after playing that Michigan game. Georgia, one of the best 4 teams in the nation. If they lose to Bama, are they out? Even if Oregon beats Washington, who are you going to put in there if they lose to a Bama team who should have lost last week to Auburn? So I'm glad I don't make the decision. Once they push it to 12 teams, you won't have that. Right now, if you told me the top 12 teams, I'd be like, whatever. I don't really care.
Next year, right?
If it's 8 teams, I don't really care at that point. When we look at the top 8 teams right now, I'm not sure number 8 is. They may have pushed Penn State up at this point. I'm not sure. It's still not teams. I'm like, oh yeah, when we're getting these like 2 or 3 lost teams, and at number 8, number 9, I'm just not like, oh man, like this team's one of the best teams in the nation. So it'll be interesting. Right now, like I said, if FSU wins out, they're going to get in based on the past decisions made by the committee. But are they a top 4 team in the nation? No, especially without Travis.
So here's what I'll say to you, because I'm looking at the top AP right now, the top 8. I agree with all 8 of these teams having a chance to go into it next year. Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Bama. I think that's very generous. I think those would be the teams that I would take if it were 8. I wouldn't want to leave one of those out. If I had to leave one out, it's going to be FSU. I know you hate that, but
who's 9 right now?
9 is Missouri. which
See,
Missouri's not
that's what I'm
bad.
saying. Because like I wouldn't say
Okay.
Missouri would be in that. That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like once you get to a certain point in those rankings, like you're like, okay, like they have no shot here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean it's interesting, to say the least, and I'm really gonna like it next year when it's 8 teams. Maybe Maryland has a shot next year. You never know.
They'd have to beat at least the top 3 teams in their own side. Well, actually, there's no conferences anymore. Now they
No,
have to worry about not only have to worry about Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State, but they have to worry about Oregon and Washington in there too.
I see
So
them
and
probably getting out of
USC.
that. They'll probably end up getting out of that conference because it's going to be so saturated with so many good teams.
Oh, I'm
Um,
waiting for them to join the Big East.
hey, I'm not against it, or
But
even ACC. I could see them being a contender in the ACC again.
yeah, if we're talking about more college games that happened, I mean, how about Bama Auburn?
All right,
Absolutely insane.
that couldn't have been a better placed ball than where he placed that ball. I mean, right on the money, on the pylon. It was a perfectly placed ball, but I guess that negates the fact of him throwing the ball, stepping in front of the line of scrimmage, and then deciding to step back and throw in the ball, which somehow ended up working out for them anyway. But that defense by Auburn was a bad defense. That was not a defense they should have had. When that third guy was they rushed 2 and the third guy was just standing there. I don't know why he's just standing there in case he runs. But if he runs, why does it matter? You have tons of people that are going to come up and cover. They pressed the middle and left the corners wide open. So they kind of deserved to lose that game based off that defense that they ran on that play.
And the muff punt.
Here's my thing with that Alabama game is, that was a crazy throw that he made. I think they said that was the most improbable catch, like one of the most improbable catches this season. I know they had at that point in the game a 99.9% chance to lose, come back and win the game. So yeah, the credit goes there. As you said too, the play before that, you don't know what the hell Milroe did with the whole step him in front of the line, then back behind the line and throw. But what blew my mind, I think, about that whole thing, in all honesty, was did anybody else see right after the game ended, Milroe came out in the field and was calling for the Heisman. And I personally don't think there could have been a dumber statement than that right there. For you to think you have any opportunity at winning the freaking Heisman.
If you look at his stats, I think he has like 15 touchdowns and 9 picks this year. I think that's his stats right now.
And you have the balls to come out and try to yell for the Heisman like you just did something, when let's again not forget the play before, buddy. You just ran in front of the line of scrimmage, then back behind it, and then threw the ball. I don't know, man. To me, it's like, dude, come on.
He's not even top 5, dude. He's not even going to be in the top 5. Not even, I don't even know if I'd put him in the top 10.
I don't think he's close to top 10.
Okay. He's been okay. I mean, at best, okay. I've seen some throws where it's like, wow, that's a great throw. Then I've seen other throws where it's like, what were you thinking? Like, it's crazy. But it was a good game. I mean, Auburn always comes to play in that game, man. Always comes to play.
We got a bunch of games this week.
Huh?
I said we had a bunch of good games this week.
Washington State. Great game there, too. Washington State almost pulled off that upset. It was very close. I mean, they should have pulled off that upset, in my opinion.
Very bad. I'd say the roughing call was a very bad call. Also, Penix getting away with multiple balls that probably should have been picked there near the end of the game.
He didn't look like himself by any means. I think that kind of dropped him. I think it's 2-man race now.
I think it's a 1-man race, and I think that 1-man's Bo Nix.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I think there's almost there's no argument now that it's got to be Bo Nix. I feel like this past week was kind of like the game to figure everything out on, and Bo Nix went out and threw 3 or had 6 total touchdowns. You know what I mean? So, and
Marvin Harrison. Yeah, so I was saying Marvin Harrison can only do so much when your quarterback's Kyle McCord. He had over 100 yards and a touchdown, but you can't do that much when your quarterback is Kyle McCord.
Right.
Are you blaming him for that loss?
I'm blaming Ryan Day, but also McCord didn't look that good. He had 2 bad picks. I mean, one wasn't necessarily a pick at the end of the game. I'm not going to come out, but the first pick was bad.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah,
Dude,
I mean,
I'll even say this about McCord, man. Your guys' wide receivers bailed him out, throw after throw after throw. I feel like all game I was watching Ohio State receivers just make insane catches that shouldn't have been made, but yet they're just continuously making them. And I'm watching and I'm like, man, McCord sucks that bad to where these receivers have to make every play on the ball.
I mean, that's the one thing Ohio State's been missing all year is the quarterback. I think if they had a decent quarterback, they're going to win that game. Unfortunately, he's been so shaky and inconsistent this year that we all knew that Michigan was a more complete team. You know, they had all the pieces, they just didn't have a quarterback, and that comes on recruiting. You got to bring in the next guy. I mean, they've been doing it for years, having a decent quarterback year in and year out, and this year just kind of blew it.
All the good ones always leave. Joe Burrow leaves. Ewer leaves. I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean it happens. But I will say, it was a fun week. It was a fun week for sure. But we are on a time crunch, so we got to talk about NFL because NFL was crazy this week. It was a lot of fun. We had Thanksgiving games we didn't really get into. I don't know if Christian wants to talk over that. Well, David and I kind of went through them. But I don't know if there's any that stood out to him. But I will say, one of my favorite games to watch this week, besides obviously the Eagles game, was the Jags-Texans game. I enjoyed watching that. That was a fun game. You know, Jags obviously won that game. They needed to win. Whoever won that game was going to be on top of the division. They pulled it out. But let's not take anything away from how the Texans played, or one player in particular.
Yeah.
And I think he has to finish in the top 3 in MVP voting after that performance. He carried that team. He carried it.
Yeah, CJ Stroud, I mean, well, we've kind of been saying this, for a little bit now, though. Yeah, he's carrying that team. I mean, you're playing with a bunch of really nobodies, right? You're playing with your best receiver being Tank Dell, which a great connection that they're getting now, by the way. I mean, it is truly a great connection, but still you're not playing with a dominant guy on anywhere on that ball. You have Pierce, he's a good running back. Singletary, he's a good running back, but neither of them are dominant. Neither of them are a top 5 of their position. Goes the same thing to the wideout spot and the tight end spot. And so, yeah, like you're saying, man, like it's all on Stroud, but yet Stroud is continuously doing it week in and week out, and it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we're not used to seeing this at all, especially from a rookie. I think he already went ahead and surpassed Andrew Luck's rookie total yardage just this past week in this game.
I mean, the dude went for 304 yards in the air with 2 passing touchdowns and 47 yards rushing with a TD. That should get the job done.
He was the offense.
The job done.
And that's not even how you look at it as a two-way type of quarterback either. You don't think of him as a runner.
No. I mean, I was seeing his pocket presence in that game, and besides obviously Josh Allen, which someone thinks he's overrated, and I don't. He was getting to Stroud, but Stroud was somehow maneuvering that pocket and extending some plays, which was crazy.
Defensive Josh Allen.
Yes. Yeah,
Look,
Christian thinks he's overrated.
I'll even touch on that real quick though. Josh Allen, DN/slash edge rusher, correct? Right? Okay. You're gonna sit here and you want to tell me this guy's a top 5 defensive end or edge rusher in the league? No. Is he a top 10? No. Is he even top 15? At that point, you might start getting into it. But this guy was drafted 6 years ago. 6 years ago, and it finally took him till now to start making plays up last season.
Not last year. It's been a couple years. He has
I'm a top 1 edger.
This year. He has 12 and a half sacks this year. I mean,
look, let me maybe he's a late bloomer, just like Mike Williams was for the Chargers. I feel like for his first 4 years, he did not come around to that 5th year on the 5th year option. Now we all know who Mike Williams is. He's one of the better deep ball threats in the league. So it can be that kind of situation, and was just a very slow start. But Josh Allen has been in this league for a long time now, and just now he's finally starting to get off and get running. So I can't sit here and be like, oh, this is a top 10 edge rusher in the league, because he hasn't done it consistently, and he's been here for 6 years. But you got guys like TJ Watt, as soon as they pop in, leading in sacks. Myles Garrett, as soon as they pop in, leading in sacks. Micah Parsons, same thing. So it's like,
I don't know. I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying I don't think he's overrated. I don't think he's overrated.
Well, where do you put him at ranking-wise?
Right now, based on his performance this year, top 10.
No, I wouldn't do it.
This year, going off his stats this year, top 10. 100%.
So Dak's a top 10, top 5 quarterback, top 3.
Who?
You want to admit it?
Who?
Dak?
Are we going off stats?
Dak Prescott.
Are we going
Buddy,
off?
you're the one that's running off of stats, so are we? Buddy,
Yeah,
is Dak
based on
Prescott a top
stats.
3?
Based on stats, what he's putting up right now, it pains me to say he's throwing up top 5 numbers for QBs based on stats against garbage teams.
So let me get this right though. If this wasn't based on stat, is Dak not a top 5 quarterback?
I hate him. I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback. He's putting up numbers against garbage teams.
But if we're not basing Josh Allen on stats, is he a top 5 DN?
Not top 5. No. But I'm just saying I don't think he's overrated. That's all I'm saying.
I just think, look, I think Josh Allen is a very good edge rusher. I just don't think, in my opinion, he's not a top 10 yet.
David, are you back here? You wanna add anything to this?
Yeah, so CJ Stroud was doing really well, I think. And the biggest thing about that is, like you said, he was the offense. He led the team in passing, led the team in rushing, and he also, had no turnovers. It just came down to his field goal kicker didn't know how to kick field goals, unfortunately. And you know what? It has big implications. And I'll switch into it. Now that the Texans have lost, they now see themselves just outside of the playoffs. And you know who that 7th seed is now? The Indianapolis Colts now are the 7th seed after beating the Buccaneers. Yep. Minshew Mania is real. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that we'll have 3 AFC South teams in playoff contention, I would have called you insane. And one of them is not even the Titans. So that's absolutely crazy to me that we have 3 teams, all who have really young QBs, I guess the Jaguars we expect to win that division, but 2 of those we thought were going to be 3-4 win teams.
You want to know something funny, David? Actually, both the AFC and NFC South have 3 teams on each side in playoff contention because the NFC South is so that the Falcons, Saints, and
all have losing records.
Yep, all right there in that division.
Falcons have a losing record right now at 5-6 and have a 4.
Kudos to the Falcons. Kudos to the Falcons getting the job done against the Saints this weekend. Don't take anything away from them, but Saints lost Olave late in the game in the 3rd quarter. So that's a huge miss. Olave was that offense before he got injured. They're without Michael Thomas. That hurts. And to be fair, I think they should just start Taysom Hill as their quarterback. Why not? I mean,
because you have Jameis.
Do you have him?
What?
I said, do you have him in fantasy?
Of course I do. I have him in a lot of fantasy.
No wonder you want him playing quarterback. The quarterback at the tight end position?
Yeah, dude, that's a steal. I've done it multiple times, and it's a steal.
It is 3 points.
Do you remember when they changed it to where he had to be like a quarterback at one point because people kept putting him at the tight end spot?
Yep, I loved it.
If we want to talk, again, I'm going to bring up the Colts. I mean, what do you think about them making the playoffs this year? You look at the rest of the schedule for them moving forward. You got the Titans, the Burrowless Bengals, the Steelers, the Falcons, the Raiders, and they finish off at home against the Texans. And who would have thought that last game of the season would be have so much playoff implications in it?
That might get flexed to the late night game.
Look,
that's crazy. I mean, Titans, I feel like you should win, but Levis did a decent job this week. So you can't take that. It's a divisional game. You can't take that as a cakewalk by any means. But I mean, Bengals without Burrow, yeah. But then I feel like the Steelers are gonna start playing pretty well. So I mean, I feel like that's not easy. Now you got the Falcons, Raiders. Raiders are a surprising team now too. Now that they finally know how to run an offense and play a little bit of a defense without a head coach. Who would have thought that? But yeah, I could totally see that Texans game being flexed to the 8:00 game, primetime game. Absolutely.
You think the Colts actually make it into the playoffs, come into the season?
No, it's going to come down to that wild card spot between Houston and Colts. And whoever wins that game might get that final wild card spot.
Yeah. So you're saying locked right now, Browns Steelers making the playoffs no matter what.
Who won that game? Broncos won that game, right?
Broncos beat the Browns.
which we all
don't let's not forget about the Broncos now too.
Broncos also 6-5. They're ninth, tied with the Texans, and they play the Texans this week.
I do believe they've won 4 in a row now, 5 in a row. That's against big teams, big opponents as well. It's
Chiefs,
not
Bills, Vikings, and Browns.
Yeah, those are big teams there. Yeah, man.
Are they
getting it together over there? Is Sean Payton getting it done with Wilson now?
I think everyone's starting to buy in to what's going on and him being a coach over there. I think a lot of the beginning of the season, we all know Sean Payton's a good coach. Like, we've seen it. Yeah. He's taken a breezeless Saints team to the playoffs before and keeping them in contention without Drew Brees and based off of coaching. Now, maybe he's bounty hunting again. Who knows? Maybe that's what's getting them going, having some incentives. But to be fair, I think they're just buying into the system now. They're finally comfortable with it. You got to think all new new coach, new coaching staff. They got to figure out that new system, and maybe they're figuring it out now.
So then that almost leads to my next question. Is Cleveland's season done?
Based on what I saw in that game, man, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's an easy schedule. They have a pretty easy schedule. I mean, they have the Rams this week, Jags next week, Bears, Texans, Jets, and Bengals. But the issue is when the Jets come back, Rodgers is going to be there.
I don't think he will be. I don't think Rodgers will be back this season. Dude, the Jets are what, 4-6, 4-7 right now?
4-7, yeah.
Yeah, they're 4-7, right. You're still gonna have to wait 2 or 3 more weeks before Rodgers returns. No, so when's Rodgers coming back? I know he joked on the Pat McAfee.
He said he's
throw it out the window.
He's cleared to play.
Look at whatever window is next to you and throw it out of there. Rodgers isn't coming back for minimal, if he's going to actually make his way back this year, minimal 2-3 more games. At that point, you figure that's another 3 losses. Now you're sitting at 4-10. You want to bring this guy back off an Achilles injury and throw him into the lineup, throw him into the fire on a season that's worth nothing now, and risk that chance at him getting hurt again?
So what if because they have the Falcons this week, right? Obviously the Jets defense can keep them in that game. So what if you rest them one more game? If they win, he plays the following week because now they have a chance. Because if they lose, their season's pretty much over. But if they win,
who do they play the following week?
The Texans. So it's not out of the question, but maybe you base it off of if you win this week against the Falcons.
Do you know what quarterback has been sacked the most times thus far this season?
That'd be Sam Howell, right?
Yeah. Do you know who's second?
I don't know.
That would be Zach Wilson. So you want to put a just fresh off the Achilles injury, Aaron Rodgers, back behind the second worst offensive line in football, a guy who's already, by the way, 40 years old, just came off the ruptured Achilles in the same season, which has never been done before in the history of anything. I mean, if you're the Jets,
if I was him, I wouldn't be worried about the line. I'd be worried about the turf monster at MetLife Stadium.
I mean, the turf monster at MetLife is very crazy.
Yeah, and he has to play 8 games for that.
All right, I'm sending
an invite. But still, man, one way or another, I don't know, man. Maybe if you can get a win against the Falcons this week and then another win against the Texans without Rodgers, then okay, maybe you bring him back at that point if you really feel like you want to run a shot or have a shot at the playoffs. But man, I don't know.
And so I guess, do you want to go ahead and talk about Eagles-Bills, or is there another game we want to talk about before that?
I mean, we don't have a lot of time, and I feel like that's a crucial one to get into.
Who wants to start?
Brooklyn got a full force last night whenever he ran into that end zone for that game-winning touchdown, stood up and literally yelled, "Let's effing go." And I turned around, she's sitting there dying laughing at me just because I was just in there in sheer anxiety the entire overtime.
Oh, it was so I was at this bar in Fernandina, right, watching that game, and this Eagle fan, we were standing watching it because obviously we watched that field goal go in and we were hyped. And then we were both sitting there. He goes, "Man, I'm just gonna stand next to you with a fellow Eagle fan because I'm sweating. I want someone sweating next to me." I mean, it was a great game. I mean, I I don't know. It was fun to watch, but Ty can attest to it. I literally said that play when he scored the touchdown. I said this is a QB draw and he's gonna score. As soon as he started running, I said, "All right, we can go," because he had. I mean, Kelsey just created an open lane for him to just go right in and score. I mean, and no corner is going to stop him on the 2 yard line from getting in and
Unless the
bulldozing.
slide tackle, Michael
I
Hyde.
mean, did you not see him? He literally tried to arm tackle him because he knew he wasn't going to stop him. There was just no way he's stopping
No,
him. What a great game! And for all you haters on Jalen Hurts, yes, he played awful in the first half, but the dude came back and absolutely demolished them in the second half and made adjustments and didn't just do it throwing the ball; he did it on the ground. And this isn't even 100% Hurts. He's not 100% yet. He's still dealing with that contusion in his knee. Um, I love to see it. Based off of that second half performance, he could be argued as the MVP now.
So here's my problem as an Eagles fan right now. Love it all. I think without a doubt, Jalen Hurts is the clutchest quarterback in football right now, seeing that the past 3 games, we trailed by 10 at half and we've won the past 3 games. Hurts has balled out in the second half of the past 3 games every time. But at what point do we sit down and say, okay, man, we have to get this clicking in the first half as well, because we're going to face a team who they're not going to allow that to happen in the second half. We're not going to get to just mount the comeback. And so it's a very tough position because obviously great game, right? Enjoyed the win. Very dominant football there in the second half from the Eagles on both sides of the ball. But again, man, like you're down, take it this way. You're down 17-7 going into the half. What happens when you're playing a team when you're down 24-0? Or you're like something like that where you don't actually have any type of offense in that first half because you call yourself a second half team. And don't get me wrong, 10-1, second year in a row. I love it. I love that we keep finding a way to win. And as Hurts always says, we keep the main thing, winning. But at some point, man, like you have to get it clicking in the first half because you're going to have these teams that aren't going to allow you to play that great of football in the second half.
Yeah, and another point to bring there too, I agree with you. I mean, I've watched basketball teams all the time, and Ohio State was a big one. They, for some reason, when they were really good and they had Solinger and Aaron Kraft, they would get down in the first half and come back in the second half. At some point, you can't do that anymore. At some point, you're going to get down, you can come back. But what I've seen with this team is crazy. I mean, the last week they were down 17-7 against the Chiefs. They did it with their defense. They shut them out the entire half. This week they're down 17-7. They put up 30 points in the second half in overtime to win that game, and they're doing it any way they want to right now. They can do it on defense or offense. And I just hope at some point they can put it together and it's just an absolutely domination. That's not going to happen with this secondary. The secondary is an issue right now. They were 7-7 on 3rd and 7s, or 3rd and 7 through 3rd and 10s yesterday. 7 for 7. Those are guaranteed stops. And you made it happen over and over and over and over again. Bradbury getting burnt. I don't know what the issue is there. I don't know if the defense are playing that like Jim Schwartz style defense where they're too far back in the sticks. And don't get me started on Brian Johnson's play call. What's taking you so long to give DeAndre Swift the ball? Why are we giving Gainwell the ball the entire first half? And then something clicks like, you know what? How about we give DeAndre Swift the ball? He's been doing good this year.
Swift had like 4 carries in the first half. Like 4 carries. That's not going to get it done.
In a rainy game. Makes no sense.
Yeah, and kudos to Devontae Smith, though. I mean, he had a game. He had some spectacular catches.
Clutch catches.
I mean, that catch in that end zone that he had was, I mean, it was amazing. It was a little behind him. He went up and just snagged it. I mean, it was beautiful. And let's not take away, in my opinion, a guy that came in super clutch, Zacchaeus.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great, not to mention that throw. Hurts sent him that way. Hurts couldn't have put that ball in a better spot. But to be able to come down with that in the back of the end zone, and you're arguably our 4th option at this point, and you went and did that, Zacchaeus, I mean, you got to get a game ball for that. I mean, that was such a clutch play. And I agree. If you can get it clicking on the first, like, I'm not okay with the OC right now. I'm not okay because something needs to happen in this first. I don't know if I know you get adjustments going on in the second half, which is fantastic. but what is it that you're not seeing in the first half that you're seeing in the second half to be able to make those adjustments early?
So, and that's kind of what I was gonna say. Do you think that they're playing a game that way? Like, do you think that I don't want to say like they're intentionally giving up the lead and whatnot? No, because that's not what I mean. But like, do you think that they're intentionally kind of maybe playing back in a way to see and evaluate what the team that they're playing is, what they do, what they
There's no
make?
way.
No,
There's no way. If you would have seen the Bills defense, they ran almost the same defense almost every single play. They were literally dropping like they were playing man, and then they would drop everyone into zone. And it left Hurts the middle wide open, and then he started taking advantage of it. But I think they could have taken advantage of it early, and then they would have had to make the adjustments and play man, which man against A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, I will take that all day. Yeah. I will take that and run with it all day. And I think also, guys, I mean, it sucks the way we've looked, but you cannot tell me that Goddard not being on that field isn't hurting this offense, because that's a huge guy to have there. And luckily yesterday didn't hurt him, but we cannot go many games without having Lane Johnson, especially in the gauntlet of the schedule that we have. It's just not possible. And we just lost Fletcher Cox. He did something to his groin last night, just like Lane Johnson didn't play because of his groin. Luckily we have people that will help on defense, so it's not like a huge hurt, but not having Lane Johnson, that's a big hurt.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So the first 3 drives for the Eagles yesterday, I don't think I've yelled at my TV that much, that quickly in a long time. First 9 plays of the game, Cotton instantly flushed out of the pocket 2 seconds after the ball was snapped, running to the right side every single time and then making an incomplete throw because you're just throwing the ball away, right? Like, oh, man. I watched that, and the second I seen it, I was like, dude, we're going to miss Lane Johnson bad. But as records even shown it, Hurts doesn't lose when he's playing with Johnson in there. When Lane Johnson is not there, the Eagles' record isn't the same. It's not. They don't play as well. The line doesn't play as efficient and everything. And I mean, you have all these great pieces of the offensive line inside of Mailata and Juergens and Kelsey. But the biggest thing with your line is the O-line is a unit. They play as one. So when you're missing that one piece, everybody's a big piece, but you're still missing, again, an all-pro player to that unit. It's going to take that big toll. You're going to get a guy that comes in with – who was playing tackle last night?
Driscoll.
Okay, you get a guy like Driscoll coming in. Yeah, he's no Lane Johnson, no matter one way or another.
But he started making adjustments later on and played a little better. But no one's Lane Johnson in the league, man. No one's a right tackle like Lane Johnson. That hurts.
It does. Yeah, it does. And so once he comes back, that's going to be helpful. But, like we said, though, man, I don't know. Something's got to get figured out too, man. I know, David, you joked around, said in the group chat, Frank Reich, he just got fired. But that's not a bad option, dude. We saw how this offense looked with him as the coach last year for that. So it's not horrible, but I guess it just kind of comes down to the fact you have to sit down and decide what you want, because this offense is still putting up 30 points a game. This offense is still somehow getting the numbers up there. They're still getting good yardage and whatnot, but it just looks so ugly. It looks so horrible and sloppy.
Yeah.
Well, even if he doesn't become your OC, you bring him in as an assistant to help with it, at least. And I think, Christian, you meant to refer to our 2018 season with Frank Reich, not last year.
Steichen was last year.
Sorry.
Steichen was great, but I think minimum, why not bring him in, help with some adjustments? He can at least look it over and be like, hey, we need to do this. Give him a job. I don't hate it.
He was Wentz's QB coach before he became an OC. So I think, as we're talking about the Eagles, how about we flip to the other side? How about we talk about the Bills right now? I mean, Allen did absolutely everything he could to win that game yesterday. Absolutely everything. Yes, he had his weekly pick, of course, but I mean, 2 missed field goals. You have a flurry of penalties being called, and obviously that bad miscommunication in overtime, that should have been game. I saw that, I was like, that's game. And then when I saw the ball go to the right, I absolutely lost it. But now you have a team who came in as the second or third favorite in the AFC. They're 6-6 right now outside of the playoff race.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think honestly, dude, the only thing you can really say about it is Josh Allen just has some real shitty luck, man. He's just got some real shitty luck. Because, dude, the guys, I want to say it's 0-6 in all overtime games he's ever played. So he's never won an overtime game. Anytime that he's trailing or like has a chance at the final drive, don't think his record's that good there either. He just has some of the worst luck I think I've truly seen for a quarterback. Like you said, David, yeah, I thought that game was over the second that ball was coming out. And then I seen the ball go wide to the wrong side. And I was like, okay, great miscommunication. We got our save there. But then again, though, you still even look at it, man, like you have first down from at the 20-yard line in the red zone. So, I mean, why are you leaving it just up to that one play to make that score there, right? You're already down this far. You're in OT. You know that score wins it. Honestly, and this sounds dumb, but in my head, bro, I'm probably not kicking the field goal. I'm probably going for it on fourth down because you're in OT. You're down that far. Now you're forcing Philly to drive the entire, well, not the entire because you kick a field goal, but you're forcing them all the way backed up at their own, X yard line. And so you have no breathing room. So I feel like it's just those small things there like that. But I don't know, man. It's a mixture between just horrible luck for me with Allen, but also just bad playing. There's certain times that you just have to be able to make the plays there. And I feel like 3 years ago, he was. But as we've addressed multiple times, he's not running much anymore. He's not doing as much as he can with his legs. So that's taking away some things. Last night he played decent with his legs, but it's still.
Well, I said it from the beginning, man. Like when he started playing bad, like he hasn't been running and using his legs. Last night he showed that he can run again, and he torched our defense running the ball. And I agree with you. All the momentum was on the Eagles' side in that going into overtime. I think you do go for it because you got to try to take that momentum away. I mean, Elliott hit an insane 59-yard field goal with the wind blowing and howling. Thank goodness he plays golf and is a scratch golfer because he could judge that wind. But I'm telling you right now, all of the momentum was on the Eagles' side, and I had no doubt in my mind they were at least going down and kicking a field goal. No doubt in my mind the way that they were running that offense late in the game. DeAndre Swift, I mean, what a baller he is, man. What a steal. What a steal we got for him. Jalen Hurts making some big-time throws, some catches there by Smith. I mean, everything just – they pieced it together. I just wish it didn't take so long. Yeah. But what sucks for the Bills, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs now.
They're not.
I mean, you got the Chiefs, you got the Cowboys, you got the Chargers, which Chargers are not going to be like you can't just walk all over the Chargers. Then the layup game is the Patriots, which I think they're tanking, and I kind of want to bring that up. And then Dolphins to end it. That's an easy.
That's 4 playoff schedule. Caliber teams in the last 5 games, and not to include they do not have the tiebreaker against the Bengals, nor did they have the tiebreaker against the Broncos because they lost to both those teams.
Yeah, yep. So I mean, it's tough. I feel for Stephon Diggs. I feel for him because he's such a baller, and Josh Allen, he's the most inconsistent quarterback that I've seen all year round.
So let me ask you then, if you're sitting here as somebody who's a Bills fan or whatnot, what do you say has to be done to this team in the offseason? What's the change that has to come to fix it?
You need to get a running back.
Yeah.
You need a running back.
But you know what? You know what, though, Nick? I will say real quick, we both say that. We have said this for a long time. They need a running back. Did anybody else realize that Cook is a top 5 rusher in rushing yards?
But he's inconsistent. He has some games where he goes off, and then other games he does nothing. I don't know. You can't blame defense. Defense has been okay. I just maybe they need more pieces for Josh to throw to, or is Josh the issue? Making you know what you're getting with Josh Allen. You know what you're getting. You're gonna have a guy that's either gonna excel and play fantastic, or a guy that's gonna make the mistakes because he wants the big play. So you know as a Bills fan what you're getting with Josh Allen, and I think they like Josh Allen for that reason. It's a gamble each week, but he has the caliber and the talent to be great, but I just don't. I'm saying it has to be another wide receiver. It has to be, or running back.
I don't know. I do agree with you in a way. They need to have another receiver there because Gabe Davis isn't the guy that's going to be your number 2 and constantly get the job done, as we've seen multiple times. Fantasy owners rip in the chat, but one way or another, man, and we have all said it multiple times. The Bills' Super Bowl window is done with Allen. I feel like I don't see them in the next 3-4 years having a shot at a Super Bowl anymore because the team's not designed right. Everybody knows how to play against Allen. Allen's showed nonstop. He's going to make these mistakes. He's going to turn the ball over all the time. So if you're the Bills, maybe Allen isn't completely the issue, but it almost feels like it's time to clean slate and start new again. And considering what you probably could get for Josh Allen, which to a team that has no QB, you can get maybe 2 firsts for it, at least. And so you make those moves and you rebuild from there. I feel like that's, in my opinion, that's just the best thing the Bills can do right now, because you're not going to find yourself into where you want to be. I mean, you have Stephon Diggs, who's really the heart and soul outside of Allen on your offense, pissed as hell that he's still here because this team is going way downhill. Allen's not balling out.
That's actually not true. It's not true.
Okay,
he likes playing with Allen, dude. He likes it there. He's just frustrated that they're not winning. That's why he wanted to leave Minnesota.
I know how much time we have left.
Not much.
We should probably go into our certified baller and stuff then.
Yeah. Certified baller of the week. Is he getting back-to-back crowns?
Yeah, well, my certified baller this week is just going to be none other than Jalen Hurts, boys. 5 total touchdowns, 250 through the air, more on the ground. Listen, it wasn't the greatest performance by a quarterback this week, and that's for sure. I'm pretty sure Dak played better on Thanksgiving. Multiple QBs had played better this past week, and multiple players probably had played better.
But Commanders.
When you take back into the fact that you're coming back from halftime down 10, and you're putting the team on your shoulders, and you're making all these great throws, and you're making the halftime adjustments, and then you're the guy who's running in for that game. Yeah, you're not in the dome, right? You're the one who runs in for that game-winning touchdown. I mean, he put that team on his back, and the defense trapped up its clamps, but he did everything that he had to do for that offense to come back and win the game. And so for me, that's going to have to be my certified baller.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, 5 total touchdowns, hard to go against, but I'm going to give it to another person. How about we give it to the guy who sent it into overtime there, Jake Elliott. Yep. I don't know if I've ever seen a more clutch kicker than Jake Elliott. And truthfully, I love David Akers, but I think it's time to say that Jake Elliott is solidified as the best kicker in Eagles history.
I mean, how many games has he won for us?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
and not just simple field goals. We're talking 61 long field goals.
His career long is still that 61-yarder against the Giants. That was one of the big catalysts into that Super Bowl winning season.
As a
rookie who just got signed off the practice squad of the Bengals. So
and you got to remember too, in that season, he took Caleb Sturgis' spot. Caleb Sturgis was a Pro Bowl kicker.
Yeah, I mean, I think he comes in clutch time after time. And if he isn't a Pro Bowler this season, if he's an All-Pro this season, I think there's something wrong. But he's had a great season so far.
Yeah, I mean, I those are my 1 and 2. But I'll just pick a different one, guys, just for having someone different that I feel like should stand out and get some credit. Kyron Williams, man, 16 carries, 143 yards rushing, add with 6 receptions, 61 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's a big game. That's a big game for a player that's new to the league. I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due there. I mean, he had over 200 yards, all-purpose yards with 2 TDs. I mean, he needs to have some credit there.
I even feel like one more. I'll even throw a quick honorable mention now. I'll even say it out to McCaffrey, though. CMC had a great game, 2 touchdowns, over 100 total yards. He's still trying to solidify himself as what possibly could be an MVP season in a season where we haven't seen great quarterback play. So that'll go out to him. My deflated baller, guys. I'm just like I said earlier though. Here, it's gonna be Sean McDermott for me, because as we said, man, you have to recognize that the momentum is on Philadelphia's sideline there, and you have to recognize that you're in the overtime of a game where if you kick this field goal, this offense has been rolling all second half. That they're gonna go down and at least match that field goal one way or another at the minimum. And with the way that your season is going, man, you see it time and time again with guys like Dan Campbell or Mike Vrabel or teams like that where they're trying to make this team good, and so they take their risk. It's 4th and short, game on the line. Okay, you go for it, bro. Let's just take the shot to end it here, right? And those are the small things that they need to be doing, and they didn't. And for me, watching it last night, it was great to see, because I was like, oh, thank gosh, Philly has a shot to come back and win this. But, man, if you look at it, man, you're down there at the 20-yard line on 1st and 10 going from there, you have to be able to find a way. That's 8 downs there you get. If you can push for that first down, that's 8 downs you're going to get to go 20 yards. I just feel like with the way you're looking at your season, you have to at some point sit back and go, okay, man, we need to take a risk. And Buffalo, I feel like, hasn't taken any this year. They've just been constantly shooting themselves in the foot nonstop. And for me, yeah, that's just where my deflated ball is going to lie. Because I feel like in that type of situation in the game, man, you have to be your head coach. You're getting paid to do this. You have to be able to recognize that.
Yeah, so originally mine was going to be UF. I think you're no longer in a bowl. You lose FSU. That's a big one at home to a backup. But on the bright side, they're probably going to lose Napier. That's good. And on the other bright side, they sacrificed themselves so that James Madison could go into a bowl now, because now there are not enough bowl eligible teams in NCAA. So James Madison gets a bowl bid. That's great. So I think mine by a mile, it's going to be Auburn. I mean, you're 4th in goal from the 32. Yeah. You just need an incompletion to all but ice the game. You rush 2, give the QB all that time in the pocket to find someone and allow them to happen in your home on your home turf in your biggest game of the season, because your season's done. Your biggest game of the season is the Iron Bowl. No reason Auburn should have won that game, and it's the reason that Alabama will always be Auburn's daddy.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't agree. I don't disagree with that. They should have won that game, without a doubt. But I got to give mine to Mac Jones and Billy Zappi over there. I mean, 89 yards, 2 interceptions, gets benched, and then goes ahead, and Zappi doesn't play well either. I mean, it was absolutely they made the Giants defense look like they were a phenomenal defense. And that's what I wanted to bring up here real quick. He purposely missed that field goal. He purposely missed that. If you watch it, and I wish, David, if you could just take a picture.
I'll save it. Yeah, this is future David. The kick actually doesn't look that bad when I looked at the replay of it. I'm not gonna save it. I just wanted to point this in here to show I'm not sucky at my job, even though you could argue that I do suck at my job, but it's not coming in here. So yeah, enjoy the ending of this video.
Where he hooks it, he purposely, I played soccer, he purposely hooks his foot around and the ball hooks to the left, not just by a little, but by a lot.
Yeah.
I think they're in full tank mode at this point, but nonetheless, Mac Jones, deflated baller, and the Patriots realize you're the deflated baller, and you'll be out this year. Yeah, you're not going to be back.
I think he's done. Josh Allen, you are a Patriot.
Yeah, well, that's
interesting.
That would be yeah, but I say that would be very. But that kind of comes to another thing. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have a bunch of time.
Hot take of the week.
Hot take of the week. Mine's going to be Shaq Leonard will be in the Eagles uniform by the end of the week.
Mine will be that Marcus Peters will be in the Eagles uniform by the end of the week.
You're going to hate mine. Mine's going to be that Shaq Leonard's going to be in the
Cowboys.
Mine's going to be Shaq Leonard's going to be a Dallas Cowboy. I think with Van Der Esch done for the season, even at this point in his career, they're going to spend some money on him. I want it to be Philly, but I don't think Howie makes the call.
The issue is we need a commander on that defense, and not having Nakobe Dean, we could tell it hurts. And I think Shaq Leonard can bring that presence that you need on that defense. And if Howie doesn't get it, and as Shaq, he has the opportunity to go to either team, right? If he picks the Cowboys, he's going to be my most hated player in all of NFL, because you're going to go and see Philly fans and see how the atmosphere is in Philly, and you go to Dallas because it's America's team. I don't play that game.
If he goes to Dallas, I'm calling him Darius for the rest of his life.
I don't root for injuries until you become a Dallas Cowboy. Then if you just saying, I'm just saying.
All right, that's going to be it for the week. Nick needs to go get back to work. Chris needs to go back to doing nothing. And I got to take a massive dump.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, we'll see you guys later on this week. We'll have some recaps of tonight's and Thursday's game.
Pull up.
Someone's playing battle. I love it.
I'll win.
Game from hoops to gridiron, analyzing every play like we was the champion. With witty banter and humor, we keep it fun. HTV fam, we always bring the number one. Highlight taking pockets, we taking over the scene. We drop dubs and chugs, living the sports dream. From hot takes to deep dive, it's a winning regime. Come join the hype, we not just blowing steam.